Well, hello! I didn't see you there. My name is Marta, and welcome to our first online Intro to Python coding workshop. Throughout these videos, we're going to learn all sorts of coding fundamentals, and at the very end, when we've had a chance to build up our skills, we're going to put together a game of rock, paper, scissors. So, before we get started with today's video, let's go over our goals. By the end of this video, you will be able to open and run code in Colab, describe what a variable is, create a variable using the assignment operator, describe what a function is, use the print function to print a message to the screen, and finally, use the input function to prompt the user to type in a message. Let's get started. In our first lesson, I'm going to go over some of the syntax basics we use in Python. Now, just like when you learn a new language like French or Japanese, there are rules that you have to follow or people won't understand you. In our case, if you don't use the right syntax, the computer won't understand what you want to do. So many programmers, when they begin coding, they start off with a program called Hello World. And the goal of this program is to print the message Hello World onto our screen. So in our empty code cell, I'm going to write a hashtag followed by the words run hello world program. So this isn't actually a line of code. This is something called a comment. And every line in Python that begins with a hashtag is a comment. So you can use comments for whatever you want, but they're especially useful for writing what a certain line of code does. And this is really helpful when you give your code to a friend to read, for example. So now that we've written what our program is going to do, let's get into the main part of the program, which is the function. So our function is the print function. So I'm going to write the word print, followed by 2 round brackets, which indicates that it is a function. So a function is a block of code that performs a specific task. You can think of a function as being a set of instructions, and every time you call the function, it will execute those exact instructions. So our print function takes an input message. So I'm going to write 2 quotation marks, and in them I'm going to write hello followed by world with an exclamation mark. So notice that I wrote quotation marks around the message that we are passing to the print function. And I'll get into why I did that a little bit later, but essentially any series of characters within quotation marks is called a string. Okay, so now that we've set up our program, let's run it. I'm going to press Shift and Enter. You can press the play button, and there it is. There's our output of the Hello World program. You can go ahead and try changing the string that we pass to the print function. So down here, I'm going to write print, and then double quotation marks, and inside I'm going to write hello, her code camp. And then I'm going to press Shift and Enter to run. And we see that the output on our screen now says hello, her code camp. We can also use single quotations instead of double quotations, and Python will think that they are exactly the same thing. So I'm going to write print, and then a set of single quotations, and inside I'm going to write hello, her code camp. I'm going to press Shift and Enter to run, and we see the words hello, her code camp, which are exactly the same as we saw before. Now, the only important thing to remember is that if we use one type of quotation mark, we can't use it anywhere else in the string because the computer will get confused on how it should interpret it. So for example, if I write print and then a set of single quotation marks, and inside I'm going to write it's a wonderful, wonderful day, and then I'm going to close with another quotation mark. So if I go to run that, I'm going to press Shift and Enter, I'm going to see an error, and this is a syntax error. So instead, I'm going to write the print function and then a set of double quotation marks, and then inside I can write as many single quotes as I want. So if I write it's a wonderful day, and then I run that, we get no problems with the output. So in general, it's safer to use double quotes around strings than single quotes. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret about most programmers, including myself, and it's that we generally like to avoid doing redundant work. So let's say that I get an assignment and I need to print out the string hello, her code camp multiple times. One way I could do it is I could write print her code camp as many times as I need to, but that gets tedious. So instead, we could assign the string to a variable. So you can think of a variable as a bucket that stores information. We put information inside the bucket, And each time we want to refer to that information, we can work with the bucket instead. To write a variable, I'm going to write the word message. So notice that here, I don't use any quotation marks around the word. This is the distinction between a variable and a string. If there are no quotation marks, it's a variable, but if there are quotation marks, it's a string. So now that I wrote the name of the variable, I'm going to write the assignment operator, and this is an equal sign. So this is not the same equal sign that you might see in a math class. Instead, this is an assignment operator, which assigns whatever is on the right-hand side of the operator to the variable that is on the left-hand side. So on the right-hand side, I'm going to write the value that I want to assign. So I'm going to write her hello. So I'm going to write hello her code camp. So I'm going to press Shift and Enter to run. Now we won't see any output just yet, but now if I write print message and I run that, I'm going to see that the computer printed the contents of the variable. So you can pretty much name a variable whatever you want to, as long as it follows some rules. So number one, it can only consist of alphabetic characters, digits, and the underscore character. That means you cannot have spaces in your variable name. Another rule is that it can't only contain digits, because then the computer will think that it's a number. Another rule is that the first character cannot be a digit. And the final rule is that if you name your variable an existing function, so for example, let's say you want to name your variable the print function, it will overwrite whatever the function does and replace it with your variable name. If your variable name is already the name of a function or a keyword, type it out and see if it changes color. If it does, it's already taken, and then choose something else. So here are some examples of variable names and some things that we might assign to them. So let's say I want to write out all the days of the week. I can write Mon to Fry, and then the assignment operator, followed by the value, which is the string Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay, so I'm going to print that. And then I see that the output is the string that we store in the variable. If we want to change the value that our variable holds, we can rewrite the assignment statement. Remember that before, the variable message contained the string hello her code camp. So I'm just going to print out that variable, and we see that it says hello her code camp. Let's say I want the message now to be hello her code campers. I rewrite the assignment statement. So message, and then the assignment operator, and then my new value, which is hello her code campers. So now if I print the variable message, we can see that its value changes. So Python has a lot of different functions already built into it. We saw print from before, but that's not the only one. There's another really cool one called the input function. So the input function is a function that opens up a box and then you can type something in it. So for example, I'm going to write the function input followed by 2 round brackets, and I'm going to run it. So now I see a box opens up and I'm going to type in the word hi followed by enter. And then I see that the word hi is printed on the screen. If we want our user to type something specific into the box, we can write a prompt. And we do that by writing a string inside of the input function, just like we did with the print function. So let's say, for example, we want the player of a rock, paper, scissors game to input their next move. So I'm going to write the input function. And then inside, I'm going to write double quotation marks with the words choose move. And then in round brackets, I'm going to write rock, paper, scissors. And I'm going to close the round bracket, and then I'm just going to add a space for formatting. So I'm going to press Shift and Enter to run. And now we see that beside the box, we get our prompt. So I'm going to write the word rock. So this is great, but there's one problem, and it's that once a user has input their move, we can't access that input anymore. So whatever the user typed was lost. What we can do instead is we can store what the user wrote inside a variable, and that way we can keep that variable for as long as we want. So I'm going to write the name of a variable, player underscore move, followed by the assignment operator, and then I'm going to write the value that I want to store, which is the input function, and then I'm just going to rewrite the prompt that I did before so the user knows what to write. All right, so I'm going to press Shift and Enter to run, and I'm going to again write rock into the box. So now I can do things with the player move variable. So let's say I want to print out the value. I'm going to write print player move. And then I see that the output is rock, which is the input that I wrote before. Great work, everyone. You just finished your first Her Code Camp video. Let's go over what we learned in today's lesson. So, today we learned all about strings, variables, and functions, and we put our knowledge of functions to the test with the print and input functions. That's all for today. See you guys in the next video.